Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 728 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today by James Dean Rader, Shane Sparks, and Ben, Mr. Vacation Asker. And Ben, how was your week away from the show?
It was good. I missed talking about wrestling a little bit, but I had an enjoyable time with my wife, and then last weekend I had a lot of wrestling because we took our 7th day graders down on a trip to Missouri, and so we did a wrestling clinic Friday night in Edwardsville. Saturday afternoon we watched a whole bunch of wrestling. Then Sunday morning we did a wrestling clinic, and then we came home. So much wrestling.
That's awesome. How was the Virginia Tech UNI try there?
Well, I enjoyed watching the wrestling. The results could have been a little better for Missouri. There were some matches that I thought they could have or should have won, and they did not win, which was disappointing. The biggest one, obviously, and I'm not sad about the result, but Mako almost had an upset over Mackay. He lost in double overtime, and he had one almost takedown in the third, and he had 2 almost takedowns in overtime, one of which it was so close they even protested because I sure thought it was a takedown, but they waved it off. He ended up getting reversed to his back in double overtime.
Yeah, that kind of turned into the match of the duel.
Yeah, it was a freaking awesome match. Yeah,
that was a great match. I thought the Edmund Andonian match was interesting. I think one mistake there for Edmund cost him dearly, and he got ridden out.
That's Andonian too, though. Is one mistake. I mean, and he makes a lot of people make mistakes.
It was 6 points.
Yeah, that was a big one. So that was a really good. I mean. One of the big takeaways for me, Brody Teskey looked great, beating Certain and Sam Latona. Latona continues to be on a bit of a slide here. Gotta figure it's gotta be partially weight related. But yeah, I mean, I would have favored Elam probably over what's his name? Stanford guy. Transferred to Tech.
Traxler. Yeah, that match. I mean, that match was so boring, guys. It went to overtime. I think they both had one almost takedown going into overtime, and then the final scramble was super sloppy, and Elam gave up a takedown. So yeah, I mean that was disappointing. Elam's a guy. If you're a Missouri fan, you want to see a lot more out of because obviously he came in as a true freshman and was round of 12, and he was a junior world silver medalist, and now we haven't seen a ton of progress in the last 2 years. So he's a guy that we want to see more progress out of.
Yeah, Keegan looked great.
I was super impressed with Keegan, as a fan, not as his coach.
Yeah, he remains very impressive, and I think 165 one of the bigger stories nationally for this weekend. And we saw Evan Wick look fantastic. He had one. He actually had one match at CKLV where he got ridden out in the third or whatever. But
that was not great. I watched that match.
That was not great, but his performance in the finals was great, and he looked fantastic against Shane Griffith, who looked good against Carson Karchla. And I came away thinking Carson's right there to potentially contend, right? I think he's a top 5 potential guy. I think Griffith obviously can and has won it. I think Wick can win it. I think Keegan can win it. Yep. Marinelli. The weight, I think, is shaping up to be as tough as we thought going in. And none of the results, even Griffith's loss to Ramirez, I think seeing him kind of respond and make the finals here makes me think that was definitely an outlier performance and lost there by Shane.
Ramirez is good. He's just not. I don't think he's quite at that level. I think he kind of snuck one out against Griffith, but he wrestled Karchla tough the first time. They met, I believe, in the quarters maybe, and then they wrestled again, obviously on the backside. And the backside was close to the first side. Karchla started opening up in the third period, but Ramirez does some really good things. He's skilled, but I think he is kind of like next tier down, and he kind of snuck one out over.
Karchla freed the knee.
Yeah, how about no more knee brace for
I said I was concerned about the knee brace and the offensive output. He took away the brace, opened up, all is well.
Is J.D. Rader the early nominee for Coach of the Year for NCAA Wrestling? People are saying yes, Shane. Everyone's saying yes.
I would never say so, but people are saying so.
Very humble.
I would say this about J.D. So I'm in my car watching CKLV semis, I believe it was.
That sounds unsafe.
It was the quarter Saturday morning. And I'm sitting having some coffee. My girlfriend and I are watching this, and JD's doing the play-by-play, and I I tell her, I go, this guy's a lot of fun, really like him. And I said, I would describe him as a young Tom Selleck. The mustache.
That's
He's-
good.
Take it.
flows
Kissing your butt.
Magnum
Shane's
PI.
kissing your butt this morning.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's got an angle. He's got an
some
angle.
Tom
Keep
Selleck.
kissing.
Well, then I went on to say, when I was in Austin last time, I had no idea how old JD was. So I'm like, JD, how old are you? And he's like, what are you, 24?
Yep.
And I'm like, I mean, that's how my oldest son is 25. And I'm like, just kick me in the gut. I mean, it was just like, you got to be kidding me. Give me my kid.
Yeah, for all we know. Okay, so Shane, I mean, the Iowa State duel, guys, was
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we really need to. I can't believe we went 7 minutes without discussing it. And there's a lot of places to start with it. There's obviously there's beef. We can start with these teams got heat. It's not just Iowa State heat either.
No.
This is super personal.
back.
This is like I mean, it goes back. It's Dresser and Brands, right? It goes back to Virginia Tech, right? And everything comes back to Virginia in some way, shape, or form, as we know. But this does as well.
I thought Virginia was for lovers.
It is for lovers. That's why Dresser had to leave. He had to go somewhere else. And so at the end of we got the skirmish. But here's the thing. It was a nothing at the end. This is a big fat nothing burger with the heat at the end. That was just like a bunch of dudes saying "hold me back," but like no one really
Well, it's unfortunate because we didn't actually get to see what happened because the camera doesn't pan over fast enough for us to see what got it started.
Well, it looked like
another
we
camera
got a
angle.
little video here you can watch, Ben. This is from
Let's see
someone
it.
in the crowd.
Yeah, this is from Stalemates. Shout out to them.
So like basically they stall out, which that was a
And
There Terry goes-
where's Terry? We won't get him in frame.
yeah.
Where's he
didn't
going?
know. Now did the Santos
He's already back there.
So you just start running over there.
Where did Terry go? I'm trying to find him.
To the Iowa State corner.
He perhaps was eclipsed by Bobby Telford, but yeah, they just kind of ran over there. I don't know what happened, but
Listen,
nothing.
that was a little too aggressive of a run. That run looked like I'm about to fight someone. I didn't like the way that run started there.
Yeah, someone. Yeah. So, but then a little of this, a little of that. Not a lot going on. I think. But the reason there's a culmination here is you've got both benches jawing at each other. Benches jawing at fans. We had all these shots of both benches and the wrestlers in the background. It was just animated. It was personal. There's a lot of yelling. There's a lot of, it's some emotional wrestlers and coaches, and these things happen. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it just speaks to the level of this is not just Iowa State. There's something else here.
Well, I think a lot of coaches are immature in the corner anyways, and like always jawing at the other side. Obviously, the people in the frame are some of the main perpetrators. Listen, I think Iowa was probably annoyed how tough Iowa State wrestled them. I don't think I thought that duel was gonna be so close. I don't think I thought specific matches within that duel were gonna be so close. I know.
Which one surprised you, Ben?
33.
Well, they're okay. 33 for sure. 70, 74 for sure. I did not expect 97 to go against Warner, so I think at least those three minimum.
Mm-hmm. They got Ibarra. He probably wasn't favored there, but to lose 8-2 to Terrakina, probably going into that, Iowa fans thought, hey, we maybe have a shot here, and he wasn't close. DeSanto getting slowed down considerably. Now, did Adesanya...
That should have been 5-4. That should have been 5-4. That double stall, you had it in the doc, I believe. That double stall was shenanigans, Christian.
Total
Two of
shenanigans.
them.
Two
Two
of
of
them?
them.
This ref was very, he was like a jazz artist. He was just a little improvisational. It's like, let me stall this guy out. Let me get...
That was ridiculous, too.
When's the last time you saw... Listen, there's a notorious official in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia that used to go double stall in the first 20 seconds of almost every match. And I haven't seen a double stall since.
I guess it was something with the fingers, and
Fingers.
I'd have to look at the rule book. So maybe by by
Oh, that's
rule,
what he was
it
saying?
would have been double
Yes.
stall.
Yeah.
That is why he called it.
Which I hate the fingers. There's nothing that can happen when you do this. So maybe bring the double
But
stall
if I would
back.
have told, But I mean, if you would have said double stall, 2 double stalls in a match of those 10 matches,
Yeah.
133, you would have said there's no way it happens there.
There's no way.
No way.
But with
DeSanto
DeSanto,
with a double stall.
that makes it make sense because you never know what's going to happen with this guy. But I think there's the drama around it, but then there's the actual wrestling. And the actual wrestling, I think I was surprised that DeSanto could only get 6, but really 5 points against Adesayev. I thought Adesayev I thought he had a game plan to not get scored on a lot, and that part worked, but I don't think he gave himself hardly any opportunities to score either. And I think
I looked at Adesayev's wrestle stat, and there's just not. I mean, even over the last 3 years, there's not really any good wins there. You know, there's nothing to indicate to us that he was going to be super competitive with Austin DeSanto.
Well, other than I'm pretty sure when I looked him up the other day, I could refresh my memory, but he has not been bonused many times in his career, and he's faced.
Yeah, it's pretty close matches.
Yep. So that was notable. So for me, I've been thinking. I think about we talk about and think about the team race all the time, and the big thing for Iowa coming in this year and their differentiator against Penn State was what 10 All-Americans, 10 scores, 10. The 10's been whittled down, at least for the time being, at least for what they've been showing. Their best 184, I think, is wrestling 174 right now. Okay?
It's weird.
It's weird. It's weird to me. And to me, is it just about, hey, we don't know when we're going to get Kemmer, and we got a really good guy, and it's not a big cut for him to make 74? We know Nelson is a 74-pounder if Michael Kemmer didn't exist, right? But to see him down there wrestling many times, does that say something about when to expect Kemmer or when to not expect Kemmer?
I've been saying this for 2 weeks. I think it says a lot about him. Why would you have your 84-pounder cut down? To me, it means that there's a chance he ain't coming back, because why would you whittle your down? Even if Nelson's normally weighing 182, which is, that's a relatively small 174-pounder, but to make him cut those 8 extra pounds on a regular basis for his best weight class, for the weight class that he's going to wrestle at NCAAs, it just doesn't make sense. If you really thought this guy's going to wrestle 184 NCAAs and his natural weight, let's say 182, which is smaller, you would be trying to get him bigger. You'd be saying, Nelson, you're getting muscled out. We need to bulk you up a little bit. Let's go.
Yeah, so seeing him spend considerable amount of time at 74 makes me think it's going to be Miles or Abe Assad at 184, which we've seen. I don't think Miles is an All-American threat right now at 184, and Abe Assad, last time we saw him, he was losing to
Shane Whiting.
Well, he did wrestle on the Princeton Extra after that.
Okay.
Which makes me think Miles is the guy.
Yeah. I mean, at least for the time being. So, okay, 10 is down to 9. Uh-oh, is Ozzy Man Strongboy breaking in?
Ozzy snuck in. Hey, Ozzy, I want to show. You got to go, okay? Go have Mommy help you. All right, buddy. All right. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. We're always cool with Ozzy Man making an appearance.
Okay, come say hi, and then you go find Mama. Come here. You
Yeah,
say hi
come
to
say
everybody.
hi.
Come say hi, buddy.
We haven't seen the Strong Boy. He's going to destroy
Ozzy, what do you got to tell him?
Hey!
Hi. What do you want to tell him? You want to tell him about Transformers or something? No? All right, he's shy. All right, go find Mommy. Close the door.
Superman.
Go, buddy.
What has he been? 3 years old, maybe?
He's going to be 4. Tomorrow's his birthday. He's going to be 4.
Oh, nice.
Yosh told me he was really impressed with Tiosaurus because he's a great leader. So, he's watching these Autobots.
What is that?
I don't know. It's some freaking Transformer. I don't know anything about Transformers.
He just says Tiosaurus is a great leader?
Yeah.
That's
He's
a
really
dinosaur.
Okay. Back on the topic. So, Nelson, no, that's great. Nelson at 74.
Should be noted, I'm pretty sure Kemmer weighed in.
Kemmer weighed in, so it makes me think he's probably close. And then does Nelson go up after that? I don't know.
But okay, listen, Joel Devine, another guy I had to look up because I didn't know him. Nelson going into overtime
He had a
with Joel
different name
Devine.
last year, right?
Formerly Joel Shapiro or Shapiro.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
okay. I know. Okay,
Yes.
Joel Shapiro's actually
Yeah.
kind of scrappy. Why did he change names? What?
I'm not sure. Did
I
you
don't know all
this?
the
I know
details.
that wasn't his name last year.
Oh, okay. All right. I had no.
Joel
That
Shapiro
makes
and Joel
way more
Devine are the
sense.
same person.
They're the same person. Okay, it's a
Oh.
Jaden Clayton, Jaden Ironman situation, maybe.
Got it. Okay, well, so Joel Shapiro is actually pretty scrappy. I mean, he's not great, but makes more sense that Nelson went overtime with him.
Okay. Yes, I agree with that. So, Kimmer may be getting closer. When I've kind of asked around, there's no major concerns about Kimmer, like that he won't be back or anything. Take that for what it's worth. So, okay.
My question to him and Spencer is, okay, do you not want to wrestle in your last Cyhawk duel?
That to me says everything. That
Like, I get it. I get the whole pinch count. I get, especially with Spencer, you have the no ACLs, but like, do you not want to go out there in Hilton Coliseum in your senior year?
That's the point, though. Of course they do, and they're getting held out for reasons, right? So that to me says, to me it's obvious they want to be in these matches, but they're not going to be thrown out there for a quote meaningless match. There's meaning in terms of the rivalry.
I was about to say it didn't seem meaningless.
Well, I think
It did not seem meaningless.
It did not seem like they weren't in jeopardy of losing the duel, right? I think
It came down to the last match.
Yeah, well, Murin's a 1 point match.
The final
and Nelson
score
Brands is a 1 point match.
The final score, obviously, Iowa scored twice as many points, but it was closer than that indicated.
Yeah, I mean, if Skylar did his Del Garbino impersonation, I guess they would have lost. But
hey, can we talk about the stall out for a second? Because now I have multiple feelings. Now, Shiler wasn't trying super hard to get away. That being said, that was an egregious stall out. I've seen people stall 5 times as bad and not be stalled out of the match. And at heavyweight, there are a few positions. Actually, just went over this with an athlete last night where I can kind of stay on top. And it's very, very difficult for you to move. And I just I'm out to the side. So I kind of look like I'm doing something, but I'm really not doing anything. It was one of those positions.
Yeah, it was so the rule book, or at least in high school, I don't think, it may not actually say this in the college rule book, but like if you're getting dominated is not reason to get called for stalling. And I didn't get the impression. I thought it was a bad stall out. It didn't have any impact on the duel, but
at least the man was quick on the trigger for stalling all night. He was consistent.
I guess.
But what percentage of NCAA heavyweight matches are stall outs if that's stalling?
Yeah,
like 50.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought it was just standard. A guy was riding. He wasn't. What pinning combination was Cassiope working?
None.
Okay, I didn't think so either.
Yeah, I mean,
double solo. He should have double solo.
Every time Skylar would build up, he'd break him down, and then
that was it.
That was it. There was no
risk at all.
Yeah.
And so that's where you could use a stalemate. You could use that to make the action happen again. You could, I'm not in favor of this, but I'm saying I think one stall call on the top guy to make him do more effort would have been better than the stall out option. Because it just wasn't egregious on bottom, and there are there's some positions on bottom. Like again, heavyweight is a different weight dynamic than other weights. Their bodies just move differently because of the size they are. Where if you're on bottom, you can't really move all that much down there. So I would have been
furious about it.
Yeah, it should be so egregious when you get stalled out.
Yeah, 100%.
It should look really, really bad, and that didn't look really, really bad. So okay. 74, there's concerns. Heavy 125, there's concerns because when will we see him? When will we see Kemmer? 84.
Also, Drake Ayala weighed in.
He ain't gonna go. That'd be loony to me.
I wouldn't be so sure.
It's just something to note. Just something to note.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Can the weigh-in affect your?
No,
cannot.
No.
But Tom Brands, I do not like the way Tom Brands does interviews. But he said
them. They're the best interviews.
What did he say about Drake? He said he's ready to go, but he made he just said he's ready to go, but it didn't mean anything. It didn't mean we might see him here, we might see him there, or it just said he's ready to go.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, he's not going to tell you. Yeah, we're pulling Drake Ayala's red shirt, and we're thinking about doing it in early January. Wait, what do you want him to say?
He keeps it close.
Yeah, he keeps it real close. He keeps it close.
He keeps it close. The other thing I'm sure that he said about Ayala, though, is we love him.
Yeah.
Everybody.
We like our guys.
We love our guys. I mean, Yeah, he keeps it pretty close. But as far as Spencer goes, and I have no idea. But I just have this feeling, again, with no knowledge, no inside info. I'm just not so sure we see him.
Shane,
this year.
you got it. You got inside info, Shane.
I don't. But I just have this uncomfortable feeling that.
Well, it doesn't make sense that we wouldn't see him because if he wasn't playing on a red shirt, if he was planning on not wrestling, if there's any inclination of that, he would have had the surgery, right? After last season.
Exactly. I get it.
But he didn't.
Yep.
He didn't do the season or the surgery.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. So, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that's a big injury. I agree with you. The timing for like your point, Ben, that would lead me to believe he is coming back. Ayala's a stud. I think he could. I think he could be an All-American for them if he's good as everybody says he is. And I've heard some things and the guy's just a stud. The more I'm around college wrestling, the more I realize how hard it is to win. It's so hard to win. I mean, there's a lot of really good teams. And that tournament gets, you get a couple upsets in the tournaments. It gets turned upside down. Winning an individual title, winning a team title, being an All-American, it's not just like, oh, you show up and you win. I was phenomenal. If Iowa shows up and brings their A game and they're healthy and there's a million other things, yeah, they should win. But that's not reality. I mean, I think I've just come to appreciate how difficult it is to win. I mean,
hey, let's talk about that though, Christian and JD and Shane. Is like, at this point, I feel like there's a bunch of teams that can win. Penn State looked vulnerable. They did not look good last weekend. Iowa, I feel the same way. They're kind of vulnerable. Michigan obviously reloaded. They didn't take any of the good guys to CKLV. So Paris, Amin, Soriano, and Mijic were not at CKLV. So let's not say that's their full team. The other team that no one's talking about that I've brought them up a couple times. I think
Oklahoma State.
I brought them up a couple weeks ago. I'm not sold on them yet. I think there's a possibility. But Arizona State. So Arizona State has All-American at
25,
25, 33, 49, 57, 65. Did Norfleet All-American yet?
No.
Not yet. Okay, and then heavyweight. So they have 6 All-Americans already. I could see them pulling Kyle Valencia into the lineup. And Norfleet is right there knocking on the door. So I mean, man, they could go a lot of guys into the All-American rounds, which could make it really competitive.
No, they could. My thought is, I think all we've seen, and well, first of all, I want to get back to Spencer. I wasn't ready to move off of that.
Oh, you're not done with Spencer? Okay,
not done, because this is the only reason if you see him wrestle this year, the only reason he's wrestling is for the team and so that they can win the title, because this is their window, and next year's not their window, and the year after that's probably not their window either. So I think we do see him. I think this is not how he envisioned his senior season going, right?
They could be pretty Christian though. He could come back next year and they'd have a really solid team.
They lose DeSanto, they lose Ironman,
so
they lose
but you could
Kemmer.
put Allen at 33.
No.
Mirren can
No, hold on, but they lose Kemmerer.
Kemmerer should medical redshirt and come back another year.
Stop. Kemmerer, Young, Murin, Ironman.
No, Mirren can come back.
Mirren's back.
No, he can't.
Warren can come back. Warner can come back, I believe. Cassiope'd be back. Spencer, then if he'd redshirt, he'd be back. Ayala. I mean, they're not. They're
Ayala's
still
not
really
as
good.
ideal weight if Spencer's there.
No way. That team is not threatening, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even with Spencer, they just lose
Think
too
about
much.
the other thing I want to throw in there, guys, is this: that transfer portal can change the game quick.
It can.
You find a guy or two in the transfer portal. Now, too early to tell.
So one thing, speaking of transfer portal, and I think Iowa, we'll see what they look like in the next month or so. How their lineup shakes out, who we see reemerge. They got to have Kemmer and they've got to have Spencer, and I think they'll get them. I think we'll see them selectively used, right? For Penn State, and the reason the 10 of Iowa versus Penn State's really strong nucleus, where they have some holes in their way. Now those holes are not. That doesn't matter as much, because Iowa's got some as well. And then you look at 33-41 74, 84, 97. You got 5 guys where, we'll say 4. I'd be really surprised if they weren't in the finals. I'd say I really think Max Dean is looking like the first or second best guy at 197 right now. So, and then that's not even counting Greg Kerkvliet, who has been dominant so far this year. He's missing some time, but he could be top 5. He tech Gas Tank Gary, who just won CKLV, right? So they've got the strength of Iowa and losing some of that depth. And you know what? Some of that high-end talent for Iowa, that's counting on someone like Alex Marinelli, who is always like the 1 seed, but so far, after all these cracks at NCAAs, his highest finish ever is 6th, and he was round of 12 last year. So how much can you really count on there? You can hope and think, and you know he can win it, but will he? Will he at NCAAs? So I think Penn State is, even though they didn't look great against Penn at all, and they had guys out, and there's questions there. Like Nick Lee has 1 bonus point win in 4 attempts, and he's missed time.
Wild.
Roman's missing time. We didn't see Aaron Brooks. We didn't see Greg Kerkvliet. So, and that's all kind of a sidebar, but like I think this is just college wrestling now. It's like you got these superstar teams, and you see their guys when you see their guys. You see Aaron Brooks, and you see Roman, and you see Kerkvliet when you see him, and when you don't ask questions. You just say thank you. When you don't see the big guns for Iowa, you don't ask. When you don't see the big guns for Michigan, where's Micic? Where's Amin? Where's Paris?
Well, they were never coming back.
It's like,
or they were never coming for a semester. That was never the plan. That could be a school thing.
Yeah, maybe so. But you just don't see the full lineups much. It's like when you watch a basketball team, you see the starting 5 pretty much, invariably, but with wrestling, that's just not the way it is anymore. And you see them when you see them. So, but for Penn State, they were missing quite a few guys. They had a scare against Penn, and they ended up winning. And really, Lehigh could have been interesting as well, but then they ended up winning.
Can I tell you one Penn State thought that I've been thinking about quite a bit, and also because it affects my everyday life too? Is obviously you have so much attention, and I find that one of the challenging things with running an academy is like how much attention do you give kind of each age group, right? Because we have 12 grades here, and if I've given a lot of attention to the last couple grades and private lessons and traveling, then it's hard to give super high amount of attention to the next group coming through. Well, if you think about Kale, does the NLWC being so good negatively affect their team because of how much attention and time they are spending with the NLWC? Because if you think in the last calendar year, how much time has it been spending getting them ready for the Olympic team trials, getting them ready for the Olympics, getting them ready for the World Championships? I mean, I feel like there has to be a lot of attention diverted on that. Whereas if you go, say, 8 years ago, Kale was spending almost no time on the NLWC and spending almost 100% of his time with the guys on the current college roster.
I hadn't thought about that. And, this year was a unique year with the Olympics and Worlds. Kale went to both, I believe. I saw him at both.
He did.
Casey is always the man in David Taylor's corner. So
Cody was there with
Cody's
Gilman,
there
right?
for Gilman.
With Gilman. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. I'm pretty sure Varner was at Worlds for sure.
But think about it, guys. I mean, when you look at Penn State the last handful of years, those young guys perform at NCAAs every year at crazy levels. I mean, so I get your point, Ben, but I think what impresses me most about Penn State is how they develop the young guys. Granted, they
but that's shame. But that's literally exactly what I'm saying. Is look at the young guys now in the last 2 or 3 years. Look at their level of development compared to what we were seeing, say, 5 to 10 years ago. And because those main, Kale, Cody, Casey are spending more time with the NLWC. I mean, don't think, because listen, and as they should. I'm not saying there's any problem with this. David Taylor's asking for a lot of attention. Thomas Gilman's asking for a lot of attention. Kyle Snyder's asking for a lot of attention. He's asking for a lot of time. And listen, they should give it to them 100%. Those guys deserve time and attention. But if they're giving a whole bunch of attention to those guys, then Bo Bartlett and Robbie Howard and Alex Facundo aren't getting quite as much attention. That's just how it comes down to it. There's only so much time in a day.
Yeah, and I think, with Facundo, I don't think we're going to see him this year. It doesn't seem like it, right?
Doesn't seem like it, yeah.
Bartlett is You know, he went 1-1 this weekend. He beat Artelona. He lost to Manzona. I think he's gonna qualify for NCAAs, and every match is gonna be a one takedown match, and he'll get the takedown or he won't. He'll win or he'll lose, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's gonna be it's tough sledding. The thing is, and I think what I've realized, they don't need Bo to place.
Correct. Yeah.
They don't need Facundo to place. They don't need Edsel to place. They don't even.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
Obviously, but it's not a requirement. You're not going in to be like, we need these 6 guys to make the finals, and we need this, this, and this. I think as the season and the wrestlers come into focus a little bit more, I think they need their big guns to be big guns and place top 2, make finals, wrestle Saturday night.
Hildebrandt's not going to hurt.
What'd you say?
Hildebrandt's not going to hurt if they get him at 25.
No, it won't hurt.
But don't you think, guys, you could also make the debate that that's how this tournament is won? Because when I look at just a couple weight classes, 197. I mean, when you look at all these teams, they have 3-4 weights where it's like you could, like you said before with Marinelli, it could be really, really good. And I think Marinelli might be a bad example. Maybe a better example for me would be a guy like Caleb Young. If you told me today Caleb Young's an All-American, makes sense to me. If you told me that he was 2-2, makes sense to me. As good as Warner's been and as good as he's been at the tournament, 197 is so stacked. He's in some close matches. There's just all these teams have 3 or 4 weight classes where it could go. I think I'm not saying you got to have these guys All-American, but I think if you want to win it this year based on the depth and the horsepower with some of these teams, you don't want to take chances and have weight classes where you don't get it done. You got to score.
What do you mean?
All the time.
You're saying the fringe guys are going to make the difference, is what you're saying.
I think when it comes to winning a national title, I think you need everybody. Like, everybody's got to contribute. The stars got to show up. Don't get me wrong. Like Christian said, The stars got to shine. But it's almost like a dual meet, right? I mean, every little thing matters.
No, I disagree, because going from, if we're talking about one of these Penn State big guns, going from if say they do what they should do, a first or second place versus something a DNP, I mean, that's a 15-20 point swing. It's a really large swing. Whereas if we're talking Caleb Young in the round 12 versus Caleb Young taking 7th place, that's probably 3.5, 4 point swing. It's not gigantic one way or the other. And actually, I mean, one thing that people don't think about is those fringe guys. I mean, honestly, if you can get a fringe guy who gets a couple pins, he's going to score more than a 7th or 8th placer who doesn't get pins.
They all matter. Right? Everybody matters.
So, and speaking of 97, this weight, and you're seeing,
hey, how is Bastida a freshman? I'm looking at your rankings right now.
Because last year didn't count.
Man, he feels like he's like 24.
Well, he might be. I don't know how old he is. He probably is on the older side. Doesn't matter how old you are, Ben, as we know.
Who's doing your rankings? Spay, can we yell at Spay? Hey, my man Stephen Buchanan won the CKLV, and Warner lost to younger Bastida, and you still didn't flip him. We need to flip them a little bit.
I agree completely.
Buchanan is tough.
Oh, he's good.
It's easy. He's good. It's
Warner
really good.
Beat Buchanan at NCAAs.
But it's easy to put Warner below Schultz because Warner always loses to Schultz.
They split. Yeah, they've gone back and forth.
He beat Schultz at NCAAs.
Oh, damn it.
Come on, Ben. So Warner is an interesting one because, he was 3rd going into this weekend. He loses to Bastida, and I think you saw why we hadn't seen Warner yet. I don't think he looked great, but I think you also got to give credit there. Bastida got it done and got the wins. And this weight, 197, is brutal. I mean,
crazy.
Number 12, Lou Dupre. Number 14 just beat Warner. J.I. Yellow just won a U23 medal. He's beaten Warner. So for Iowa,
Schultz hasn't lost to Warner since 2019. FYI.
Okay.
A couple years ago.
So you look at this weight, and it's got to be of concern to Iowa that Warner doesn't look to be healthy right now, and also even at his best, he's going to be in some dog fights here.
Yes.
Him versus Bruck. I mean, Brucky's ranked 10th right now, right?
Well, how'd you bump Brucky down so far? I guess because he didn't do that well. Well, he did medical forfeit. That I wanted to talk about that Buchanan match.
Yeah.
That's one of those where it's like, listen, and I am all in favor of the injury time, but that's one of those where you're like, GD, the injury time really F this matchup because he legit kind of like hurts himself.
It was in the first period.
First period, and then the match ends 2-1 on Buchanan having 2 escapes and Brucky having 1 escape. Like it's such an annoying result because I feel as though it's like, well, I wish it was just 1-1 and we could watch them wrestle overtime and someone could get a freaking takedown to decide this thing.
Well, they were basically neutral the entire match and no one scored a takedown. I thought Buchanan was the closest to scoring opportunities off of the reattacks of Brucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't have to go get it. And maybe if he did, he would have. I would have loved to see it, and we might see it again. It was too bad there wasn't really much to measure their skill disparity. But man, Buchanan looked fantastic against Schultz. I mean, the way he finishes those single legs, how he doubles off is really, really impressive to me. And he's going to be a factor here at 197 again, and at a weight that, man, I don't know how it's going to play out. I think Ferrari and Dean are probably the class of this weight, but there's a lot of landmines at this weight class. I mean, even Luke Stout's really tough. This is a really good weight, really, really good weight.
Or Cam Caffey's done an honorable mention. I mean, how high was he last year? He was definitely top 5 for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, Tanner Sloan, honorable mention.
Braxton Amos isn't ranked.
Is crazy.
Braxton Amos not ranked. That's right, Ben. It's a crazy weight
I didn't
class.
sell my Amos stock either, Christian.
You're hanging on.
I did not sell my Amos stock. I'm hanging on.
It went down a lot. Are you buying at the bottom or what?
Cam
Stone, honorable mention. Jeez Louise.
I told Christian, don't sell the stock yet. It's too early. It's so early. So many things change between. I mean, the season is so long. I mean, NCAAs are what, 4 months away? 5? Right? 4 months away.
Yeah.
That's a long ways.
Yeah, I think it's all on how it's how his body adjusts to making the weight. I think that's a lot of what's going on there. If I had to guess. Total speculation on my part. So that was I don't even know what that was. We just kind of went
off on 197.
Yeah, we were talking about 197.
I think we started with the team race.
So yeah, the team race. I do think Michigan is with Soriano, and I think the big story for Michigan and why they rose up in my mind was Dylan Ragusin. They've got a guy because you look at him at his 125, how he kind of finished last year. I went from maybe he's good, but he needs a little more time. I think, and he's talked about in his interview with JD, like being up at 33, he's just feels better, and it was obvious he looked right. He is so. Why I like Ragusin is because he can beat you a lot of different ways. He can go get it if he's got to go get it. If you're pursuing him, he's really good with reattacks, go behinds. He's strong short offense. He can ride. He can turn. He can go upper body. He's just a very complete wrestler, and he's got that sort of savage mentality, which I really like.
But so he did. I want to remind you, Christian. He did lose to Madrigal and Lucas Bird at the Michigan State Open, which is maybe why we weren't so high on him. But yes, his performance at CKLV was super impressive. Yeah,
and I was ready to. I wasn't there until he won and beat someone like Chris Cannon because I wasn't gonna. Yeah. I wasn't taking his quarter and semifinal win and saying, "All right, he's arrived." It took what he did against a guy everyone knows. I think Chris Cannon's fantastic, and he is. Mm-hmm. And he beat him. I want to say kind of soundly, right? I thought it was a really impressive win. And so now you go. Now there's a question now for Michigan with Storr, and he got hurt, and how serious is that? And is Brucky okay with his elbow? But
Brucky, the way he turned his elbow, that's oof.
Yeah, kind of
sketchy.
But, if they go Soriano, and I think Ragusin's performance at 33 just guarantees Soriano's going to be their 25, right? And, it's not good for Medley, but it's good for Michigan. They're going to be a lot better there at 25. And, we'll see how Micic and Amin look. I think they're going to look pretty freaking good. They're
You think?
Yeah, I think so.
But I think a couple of weeks ago there was still, I've gotten into some pretty good debates with some friends about Michigan. Come on. If you don't think Michigan can win it, you're nuts. Yeah. They can win it.
The issue is What? How many big guns do they have? Nick, like guys that you could see wrestling on Saturday night.
Suriano.
Mm-hmm.
Mičić.
Mm-hmm.
Paris. Amin. There's 4. They get a
4.
4 in the finals, and that's not a stretch.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stretch. I think they've got to have that, and I think they're gonna need one of the Penn State big guns to lapse too, though. And I just don't know which one of those guys. I mean, Storaci looks like a world beater.
I mean, I think so. If the Penn State's got a big 4, right? And Michigan essentially has
I think they got a big 5.
Who? So you're saying Dean is a big 5?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what I was gonna say is that if we don't count Dean, Penn State essentially has three more if Hildebrandt is there, which I think he will be. 3 more that can play. We'll say a top 5 for sure. And Michigan, they got some. You're right. Aragusin could do really well. And they got a few other guys who could kind of sneak in there. Medley, probably not. Storr, maybe. Luan, maybe. Cam Amin, maybe. But so their supporting cast isn't quite as good as Penn State's supporting cast.
If they need Massa back.
So
they need Massa back.
I don't know nothing about nothing, but I think Massa's coming back.
You're not a poker player, Christian. When you said that, hey, you know something. I'm looking at you. You know it.
I'm looking at you.
To me,
Corvette's always got something up his sleeve. Always.
To me, Massa
He's always got
and
something up
Dean,
his sleeve.
same level.
You think Massa and Dean are same level? No.
Wait, what?
No way.
No way.
Max Dean, Logan Massa, fairly same level.
No way.
Dean's going to massively outscore him.
It doesn't matter. They need somewhere 74. I mean, if you put Massa at 74, then I mean, I don't want to say they're 10 deep, but you got Brucky's got a chance at All-American. Massa would have a chance. Amin already has. Luan's got a decent chance. Storr outside looking in. Ragusin, pretty good chance, and Medley outside looking in. But
Medley, it's gonna be Suriano.
He'll be out of the lineup. Yes, it'll be Suriano. So they got all their guys with a decent chance.
So they'll be 10 strong.
Also, hopefully Storr can come back.
Yeah,
His knee was pretty bad.
It was all the knee injuries where like it doesn't look like anything happened are always like the ones that freak you out the most. Like it was a weird situation. He just like boom, all of a sudden like dropped. So hopefully, I mean, guy came back. Hopefully he's all right. Yeah. But yeah, I think Massa is absolutely necessary. If they don't get Massa, I don't think they can contend for a title. If they get him,
they can contend, but it'll be more challenging.
It'll require significant regression from both teams for them to contend, I think.
Correct.
Without Massa.
Or an injury.
Or
one injury.
One injury.
That's it.
One injury. I mean, that's the thing about Penn State right now. And obviously, Iowa's the one that's banged up. But when you look at Penn State, still blows my mind because, bro, sometimes they'll start dudes I never heard of. And it's like, how are you wrestling for Penn State? And I never heard of you. Tony Negron, I don't know who that is. Donovan Ball, never heard of him ever. Yeah, listen, I go to all the high school tournaments. I'm at Fargo. I'm at UWW Cadets, UWW Juniors, Super 32. I'm freaking everywhere. I don't know these dudes. I literally never heard of them.
Yeah, Tony is kin to a guy, Rich, who worked here this summer. Cool guy.
I don't know Rich either.
I think he was on FRL one episode. Maybe not. He definitely did the Bader show. But Tony Negron getting the start was a surprise. Yeah, Penn State is like the leader for I didn't know this person was a wrestler, and now he's he's wrestling for Penn State.
So if Penn State does have an injury at 74, they literally have one backup, a guy named Jack Kelly, who I've also never heard of. 84, they have one backup named Donovan Ball, who, like I said, I've never heard of. So if Storaci or Brooks were to be hurt, they don't have another guy there.
Yeah, I mean they're totally out of it if one of those guys goes down for the year for sure. But one thing we've seen pretty consistently with Penn State is they get their guys to March pretty healthy. And even when Nolf had his injury against Van Brill, He was a monster at NCAAs that year.
Yeah,
So
he wasn't healthy. He was just so much better than everybody else.
I don't know. He beat you say that, but he beat Hayden Hidley worse that NCAA final than he did the next year.
That was weird, right?
I don't think it was weird. I just think he was fine. I think at that point he was fine. I mean, he killed Nolf destroyed. Remember, he had a tech in the semifinals against Micah Jordan, and then Hayden had no answers for him, and then Hayden almost beat him a year later. But yeah, Penn State has been able to get guys to the end of the season, and they typically perform there.
Minus Nick Soriano.
Minus Nicky, who he never made it back to anything.
The Great White Buffalo.
Yeah.
There had to be a couple others, right?
I'm sure.
Over the course of time. I'm sure there is. I just can't think of any.
Think of a big gun that didn't make it to NCAAs.
Mark made it all of them. Vincenzo, David, Zane, Nolf, Nickel,
Quentin,
Taylor, Ruth, Quentin. What about heavyweight? Was there a heavyweight somewhere in there?
One time, Nick Neville's tore his pec early in the year, and I think he never.
What about
came
Kassar? Kassar was hurt a couple times because he only wrestled one NCAAs.
He missed the whole season, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
he did it big. He just never.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
They could have had a 4-timer for all we know.
For all we know.
They missed out on 3 NCAAs with this man.
Yeah. Well, he was healthy the 1 year, and then they went with Shaq over him. And when they went back and forth all year long there, and then he went up to heavyweight and just beat everybody, including Gable.
He's a great story. He's a great thing.
Kassar the GOAT.
Listen, he's a GOAT.
College wrestling's one of the best stories.
Certified goated.
It's like you've got Jesse Whitmer and Anthony Kassar, like the two opposite ends of the spectrum. You got the 118-pounder who wrestled for, and then a 285, and they ended up going out champions.
That one of the loudest times I've ever heard Rec call was that duel with Ohio State when he beat Colin Moore.
Yeah,
Kassar.
That was nuts. That was certainly nuts.
I was there.
And then, like you said, Shaq was the man at Big Tens. Then he comes back, stays with it, bumps up to heavyweight, wins. It's crazy.
Shaq was hurt at NCAAs 1 year, Christian. There's one.
I'm pretty sure he placed.
No, didn't 1 year.
Oh, yeah, the 1 year he got chipped. He got put in the Ripper.
Chip Nash got him. All right, hey, can we talk about CKLV? We're having fun, but
we got to.
I mean, the match I want to talk about, which was so awesome, Yanni versus Ridge Lovett. Ridge Lovett. Listen, I just told the Nebraska coaching staff last night. You know, I got a friend on the staff. I said, listen, if Ridge Lovett learns how to grab someone's leg, he's gonna be dangerous. He's already dangerous, but he's not very good at grabbing legs all that much. No, real. He grabbed 2 of Yanni's and.
In overtime.
I believe it was off a scramble.
It was like a reattack, I think. It was like a down
Yanni
block.
shot. Yeah, he down blocked reattack.
Down block reattack, double leg, and then null roll. But yeah, I mean, Lovett he's fantastic, right? I mean, he's
the real deal.
He beat Jay Nabis soundly, which I think I had Ridge, and then I think you guys convinced me, and I flip-flopped, and then Lovett.
No!
I know. It's a classic. Look at that.
I love me some Ridge Lovett. I just think he is sensational. Last year before the Big Tens, I don't make too many predictions, and when I do, I'm wrong on a lot of them. Don't get me wrong. But they asked me last year before the Big Tens, who's a guy to keep an eye on? I went all in on Ridge Lovett, and that stock has paid dividends. He is so electric and just dangerous. That guy. Everybody always talks about go out there, let it fly, this and that. He is.
Pause the clip. I'm just sorry. 1 second ago, I actually thought they were going to call a reversal on this, which would have ended it in regulation. When Yanni gets that bottom Turk leg hooked, I thought they were calling a reversal there. They end up not calling it, and Lovett sneaks his leg out and then hangs on here.
I'm glad they didn't. I don't like that reversal call. Here, look at this.
Bro, if you got the Turk, that was smooth right there.
Should it be one?
Yeah. But this is the same situation they called 2 here, Christian.
I agree. Well,
he waited till
the gets behind.
Looks like he hops over the leg there.
I don't hate a one call here.
So that right leg right
that's
there.
That's not 2 yet.
Doing kind of a knee shield right there. But if you look, Yanni has a Turk in. He's just knee shielding. So this is probably where Yanni should have threatened Cradle to make him let go of the leg. Listen, I don't want to tell you college wrestlers what to do. if you don't threaten a cradle there, they can hold on to your leg if they're not a whim. So you need to threaten a cradle to make them let go.
Yeah, so I think that position, and maybe he could have done something different technically, but I think that position, you see why two's not given, because if you're in control, then you're able to improve on that position, and you don't really have a Turk if you can't. He's not even remotely using it. He just has his foot in a position what we would describe a Turk. He doesn't have any of like the Turk pressure or leverage there. So I like that there was no 2 given there, and I thought it was 2 in overtime. And I think it's interesting because the Yanni Sasso match was really pretty one-sided. Sasso did get a takedown, but it was sort of a little too late in that scenario. And it kind of was what we thought. Sammy just doesn't match up particularly well. But coming out of this tournament, do we view Yanni as more or less vulnerable going in to like NCAAs?
I say more because I would not have said his match with Ridge Lovett is going to be that close. Now, I mean, how many people can actually beat Yanni in the top 10? Not a lot, because like you said, Sasso's he's not a good matchup for Yanni. Yanni's just kind of better at everything. Yaya obviously was at Vegas, was a little lower, but man, if I'm Yanni's coaches and he's got Ridge Lovett in the say quarters or semis, I'm a little bit nervous.
I mean, the Jaden Abbas match was evidence of this to me, which is why my opinion does not change that much. I think Yanni's just a winner.
Yes. So I think for Yanni, I feel more confident that he's going to win NCAAs out of this.
He actually, in his post-match interview, said he needs to change some things.
Why would him
scale.
Why would him go into overtime make anyone feel more confident? I need your...
Okay.
Yeah, but he played a win, Ben. He just wins. Like when I was watching that match,
yeah, but he's in overtime. He almost didn't just win.
Ben, but he wins. He does. You know who he reminds me of a little bit with this topic? It was like Kellen Russell. Kellen Russell's in so many close matches. He won them all. Yanni finds ways to win.
Russell is not undefeated.
He probably scores on 99% of the guys, but he doesn't score on Yanni because Yanni's Yanni and he does crazy things. Christian, I'm with you. I think
guys, Kellen Russell wasn't. I was saying Kellen Russell was not undefeated, and I mean, if now listen, you guys are talking crazy because if Yanni went out and say like, you guys remember what David Taylor or Zane Rutherford did to people?
Mm-hmm.
Because if Yanni was doing that to people, then you guys would not be saying, oh, he just wins in close matches because those dudes weren't even in close matches.
True. I mean, they had. I mean, Zane had one, but
One
BJ
in like
Clagan.
2 years.
BJ Clagan, shout out. So here's the thing with Yanni. I'll make my point here.
Okay.
The guy's been wrestling freestyle for 2.5 years. Okay.
Yes.
He's getting back. His size, I think, is good, but he's still adjusting to a new weight class. He beat Sammy Sasso. Take Yanni out of it, is far and away the favorite to win this weight class if Yanni's not in it, and he beat him no problem. Ridge Lovett had his shot. Next time, it won't be as close. That was his window to get that win. And there's just not enough guys that can really challenge Yanni, in my opinion. Yaya may be the last final test for someone with a style that maybe is mildly favorable. And
The man has never wrestled Bryson, don't you?
come on. Come on. I love him, but come on. I mean, he's got to pin him. And he's not pinning. You're not engaging. Yanni's not engaging in that upper body stuff with Bryce. So I feel more confident that it's Yanni. I thought if Sammy had narrowed the gap, we would see it here. Sammy looked good all weekend. I mean, he beat Yaya, who was a tough matchup for him. Yaya actually looked really good in that third period. Kind of got interesting there. But I leave feeling more confident about Yanni because of the Sammy win.
I am equally as confident.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so before this, I would have said, I was 100%, and now I would say I'm like 98 or 99. So therefore, although it is not much, it is less. By definition, it is in fact less.
Okay. So
Ben, you're getting better
selling
at
Yanni stock.
That was a great yourself.
No, I would
right?
be sitting. I would be sitting on it. I would not be selling.
He's sitting.
But I would be, it's like when Bitcoin makes a nice drop. You're like, listen, I still think it's going to take over the world and be the number one currency in a few years. But I still wish it was at like 67,000 and not 51 or 52. That's what I wish.
Yeah, Bracky's book's showing a slightly different number there, but you're in the ballpark, Ben. So let's kind of go through. I want to talk about 125 with Pat Glory 1, where we saw a different Pat seemingly every match. Like sometimes, I mean, it was really close, and I think the proximity to the scale had a big factor there. And we saw him in the afternoon against Schroeder, who was probably on paper his best competition he faced. He was the most dominant there. But off the scale it wasn't even off the scale against Medley, because that was an evening match, and it was pretty close. So I don't know if it was scale or whatever.
Maybe he was trying to hold his weight. Wait, no.
Yeah,
semis was the morning. Semis was the morning. It was. Semis was Saturday.
It started at like noon our time. It's the first match off the scale.
That's right.
You get a couple
weigh-ins
hours.
were later, so weigh-ins are always 2 hours before wrestling starts.
But then there was that first round of consolations, and then they took like a 30-minute break. Okay. So it was still first match off the scale, but not a 1 or 2 hour weigh-in.
Yes.
3 or 4.
Yeah, good. That's a good point. I kind of misremembered when he wrestled Medley. So I think the scale is going to be a thing for him. I've always thought he's really big for this weight class, and he still looks big. But he was really dominant against Schroeder, who's tough. So I'm
not super impressed with Schroeder.
You were?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, really, Kaler almost. I mean, to me, one of the biggest stories out of this tournament was Brandon Kaler. I thought he looked really good. I thought he should have beat Schroeder. He was getting to legs. He was getting to his single very consistently and showing he could finish. He got away a couple times, but the time he needed to get away, he couldn't. There was one big exchange where he got taken down and ridden out, and that was kind of the match.
Yeah, and even Schroeder's quarters with Jacob Allen, I believe Schroeder chose down and got the escape, and Allen did not choose down, and just was, there was a whole bunch of scrambles and whatnot, but it was just like, I guess kind of for me unimpressive by Schroeder.
So yeah, here's the Glory tournament. First match off the scale, 3-0 over Lorenzo of Cal Poly, unranked. Okay, quarters that night, he's up 13-0 when he gets a pin against a much better Kelzer of Northern Colorado. First match off the scale, semis in the morning, 4-2 over Medley. Medley took him down. Okay, finals match, further away from the scale, 13-0 over Big Ten finalist Devin Schroeder. So this is clearly weight related, right?
Yeah. You would think so. I mean, the other thing is that kind of, I don't know, is making my head hurt about 125 is, if you think last year, going into the end of last year, Camacho and Latona were 2-3. At some point, Camacho is 11 and Latona is 17. Schroeder was 2 at some point last year. He's number 9. Like, I don't want to say that they're regressing, but obviously just seeding wise, they kind of are. And really, you have 2 guys in the rankings now that weren't there last year, but only 2, Soriano and Glory. Obviously,
last year the whole story though was basically Spencer.
Correct, but all these other guys were in the lineup
next.
Yeah, what'd you say, Ben?
I said all these other guys were in the lineups last year. Just there's been from those guys who we thought were going to challenge for the NCAA finals, there has been a regression by a bunch of them.
Yes. Yeah, and Latona's. Yeah, I think I mentioned he continues to struggle there. Teskey.
I would say this, Christian, and it's as far as with Glory too, coming off the scale, Medley's pace from a pure pace standpoint, Medley's pace might be higher than anybody at 125. We always joke at Bourmet that Medley's 125 pounds with a 250-pound heart. So I wouldn't, just because it's Jack and knowing how he wrestles, I'd give Glory a little bit of slack there, because Medley's pace is
no slack.
Man.
No, you're trying to win a title. You need to be putting now.
Yeah.
Spencer Lee did have a one lopsided decision against Medley, so Medley has done that to good wrestlers. But I'd like to see that match again. I think Glory. If you say, hey, it's 4-2, it's a 4-2 win for Glory, and you're the Princeton staff, and you're Patrick Glory, you're like, that's not the standard, right?
Not satisfactory.
Yes.
I'm going to disagree with you guys on this one. I just Yeah.
Respectfully or disrespectfully?
Well, but the other thing, guys,
Disrespectfully,
you're winning-
Piles,
Disrespectfully
you're an
disagree.
idiot. You're so annoying, Piles.
Listen.
Let's be disrespectful for a minute here.
You guys feel like if somebody's not teching somebody or putting 10 points up, like they had a bad performance. They're winning. It's college wrestling. Division
Listen.
I. It's hard.
If you're trying to win NCAA titles, you should be beating dudes by more than 1 and 2 points.
Yeah. This isn't Kellen Russell. This isn't Kellen Russell winning, 3-2 against Montel Marion. This is something else. And I'm not saying this has become a lot about Jack Medley.
I'm high on Patrick Glory.
Yeah, we know. We know. Say it out loud. You said it before the show. Say it now.
I will Suriano and Glory. I think if somebody said to me, I can see Glory's good enough to beat Suriano.
I'm going to be disrespectful. Shane, are you on drugs?
No.
That's
Suriano,
Nicky freaking Suriano. Who's the last guy he lost to? He don't lose to anyone. That's not great.
He lost to Mitchell. Well, I think Glory might be great. Hey, here's the thing, though, Ben. I mean, this is to Shane's point. Glory's beaten Vito.
You'd be shocked
Vito
if Glory
beat
beat
Nick.
Suriano. Like, Nick Suriano's fantastic.
I would be shocked. Yes, I would be shocked.
I wouldn't be shocked. Look, you make it sound like Suriano's unbeatable. As good as he is, and he's phenomenal. He's got 1 NCAA title. He's got one. He's got one. We're not talking about a guy
He's only competed in 2.
He's only been
correct?
in 2. And the other one he lost to Spencer.
And he lost to Spencer Lee.
Yeah, 5-2.
And he's been focusing on freestyle for years. We haven't seen him on the mats. I will stand by this. I will stand by Patrick Glory is good enough to beat Suriano. Patrick Glory's a stud.
So
it's not. I mean, you make it sound like it's the upset of the year. You'd be that shocked. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Patrick Glory beat Nick Suriano.
I would be shocked. Yes, I would be shocked.
Yeah, I would not be shocked at all.
here's the thing.
At all.
Basically, and here's why I am a little bearish on Glory's prospect against Suriano, is who rides Suriano ever in his career? Who's turned him ever in his career? It's like even Spencer. Spencer, I think, had riding time against him, but he didn't turn him. And that's like, Spencer's maybe the greatest turning lightweight we've ever seen. So,
It's true.
And I don't think Glory is in Spencer's turning strata.
So what about Suriano's? When I look at Suriano against guys like, Spencer Lee, some of the matchups he had with DeSanto. So you're telling me, going back to, was that Big Ten's maybe 2019? It all runs together in Minneapolis. There was a semifinal with DeSanto and Suriano. It wasn't like Suriano destroyed him. Like, you make it sound, Suriano and Fix. It's not like Suriano's just got this unbelievable offense against top-ranked guys. And I'm not ripping it. He's fantastic. But you guys are like, Shane, you're crazy to think Glory can't beat him. Like,
no, it's not. I don't think it's crazy.
I said that. I did say that.
You might think it's crazy. I don't think it's.
Ben's exact comment was drugs.
I don't think we need to drug test Shane Sparks. I think it's about the matchup for me that gives me concern. I have a hard time envisioning when I close my eyes seeing Patrick Glory taking down Nick Suriano.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time.
Doesn't have to take him down.
Yeah, he does. Because he's not riding him.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
He's not riding him. Not riding Nicky. Unrideable. No admission. Uber's closed.
Nicky no ride. Nicky no ride.
Nicky no rides. Listen, that's why we call him Nicky no rides, Shane. We've called him that for years. We're sticking with it. Hey, well, I do hope we see the match. I hope they're the 2 and 3 seeds at NCAAs, and I hope Spencer's on top and gets the winner, because it's gonna be fireworks. Whoever wins.
That will be.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna hope something different than you, Christian. I'm gonna hope that we see. Well, Vito at 25, that would be fun also, and we know he waited in light for that one. But I would hope that we see some really good Spencer Lee matchups before. So obviously we're going to see it at Big Tens. So we're going to see Nick Suriano and Spencer Lee at Big Tens. I hope we see that.
Oh, I do too. I hope big time, bigly. And And yeah, Vito's interesting. You think he's JD has theorized he's on his way down. I don't think they do duel.
They don't. I just checked. Son of a gun.
Son of one gun. But
Midlands. Is Glory going to be at Midlands? Nikki push-ups Midlands?
I don't think we'll see Nick Nick won't be at Midlands. I don't think.
Second semester.
Yeah, second semester. I think his first match will be against Arizona State.
Live on FloWrestling.
Live on FloWrestling.edu here in deep in the heart of Texas. So that'll be a good opening test for Nick. And we'll see where he's at. Okay, so that was 25. Everything comes back to Spencer Lee and Nick Soriano. They weren't even in the field.
Yeah.
That's okay, though. Because
where the hell do I find that? Who's wrestling at Midlands? Because listen, I'm on their freaking website, and they don't have a list of teams. This is making me annoyed.
Watch your profanity, and I don't know. I don't know how to find that. So 33, we discussed. Basically, it was the Dylan Ragusin show. He looked fantastic. 41, I think, was the best final of all the finals, and it was probably the best semi, too. Red Alirez was a great semi. Alirez won. Yep. And then it looked like Alirez was in the driver's seat for that match, and then they both got to their goal positions, or their best positions, but Carlson got to it more. He got to it late. I think Carlson's pace, strength, pressure paid dividends late, and that's how he was able to get those takedowns.
Hey, someone just I love who texted. Hey, there we go. What's up, JD? Send me that list of teams.
JD sent it.
The man.
I sent the teams.
Okay.
Iowa, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Pittsburgh, Penn, Purdue, Virginia. Man, there's only
Princeton.
There's not very many good teams there.
It says Princeton.
Guess what though? Iowa, Cal Poly.
165.
Ooh, Cal Poly.
Wick Bull.
Marinelli Wick.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That will be fun for the 56th time.
Well, but we haven't seen it in 3 years now.
It's been a while.
This is California, Evan. He eats fish tacos and not cheese curds. We'll see if that matters.
You know what, this dude? You know what, college kid? I forget about college kids sometimes because I'm not. It's been a long time. You know what he told me his favorite restaurant was?
TGI Fridays.
P.F. Chang's.
I
almost slapped him.
Chang's
you're right. It's Panda Express. No, I'm wrong. It is Panda Express. It's worse.
He's a Daisy Fresh guy.
That's worse.
Yeah,
right there. Panda Express breeds champions.
Listen, I'll tell you what.
Panda Express.
I got
salt in those.
Are you kidding me?
Listen, Ben Askren, listen up. What? Sunday night, got done with church. I didn't feel like putting dinner together. I've been gone on the road.
You went to Panda Express.
I went to Panda. I got the triple orange chicken, fried rice. Ate like a king. I felt great. I loved it. I love it.
Oh, geez, Louise.
It was delicious.
Wow.
I think it makes me stronger. And
maybe that's why Evan got so strong. He ate Panda Express.
Exactly. You can't rule it out. So good for Evan Wick. I stand with Evan Wick. I support him and his
Evan Wick.
His desire to eat Panda Express. Any other thoughts on 41? I want to kind of clip through.
Man, Red also. This is like Nebraska is. I'm picking on him a little bit, but we need our guy Ridge Lovett to get some leg attacks. Chad Red. I don't know if anyone's been in more close matches on a percentage basis in their lifetime than Chad Red. I mean, literally for the last 5 years, the dude can't figure out how to beat someone by more than 2 points.
Yeah, he'll every
but
now and again. But in the
end, he's always in the mix. He wrestles great in March.
He definitely separated against the Nebraska Kearney opponent not a couple weeks ago.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, but he really, I don't know. Every time he shoots a single leg, I'm like, that's a great shot, but he does not fire it off much. And I think that's why he's in a lot of close matches. I think he really trusts his defense.
Many close matches.
Yeah, a lot of close matches. So, but we know that March Chad is different. We saw even in 2020 Big Tens, that was one of his most up and down regular seasons, and at freaking Big Tens, he looked great, and then we didn't get to see it at NCAAs. And then last year, he did it again. So obviously, you never sell all your Chad Red stock because you know what happens in March with him.
You just wait till it goes low, and then you buy the dip.
Yeah, there you go.
Because it will dip.
It will dip. Freak nasty. Okay, 49. We already talked about Yanni Sasso, Yaya Thomas, and great tournament there. Deacon, man, he looked so good again. He loves Vegas. This guy is money. I mean, he destroyed Kendall Coleman. I mean, poor Kendall Coleman has never want to wrestle this guy again. Last time he wrestled him, I think he beat him like 14-1. He beat him only time before that. He just pinned him in the first period here with like an arm bar. And then Quincy Monday wasn't that close. It was all Deacon. I think it's Deacon versus Carr for the NCAA finals. I know Deacon is kind of like, he hasn't had the best NCAAs, but man, if he can be that guy at NCAAs, I think he's tough for everyone, including David Carr. And I think he is removed from the field apart from Carr.
That's all I want for Christmas. I want Deacon and Carr in my living room. That matchup, of any matchup in the NCAAs right now, that makes me salivate thinking about those two going at it, because those two guys, phenomenal wrestling IQs by both of them. That's what intrigues me about it. You watch both those guys wrestle, and I know Shane's too much on the mat returns and the riding and this and that. Those guys, that's what they do.
Shane loves mat return.
Yeah, but they're big. I mean, like Carr's second period against Caleb Young the other day, rides him a little bit. Young starts on bottom, couple mat returns, gives him, pretty Young escapes, takes him down with 30 seconds left, rides him. Deacon against Monday, I don't know how many great returns he had, maintains control, builds his riding time. I mean, those two guys are on a collision course, and I want to see it. I mean, and I would add this real quick on Ryan Deacon. He goes to Northwestern, basically Chicago, where it's super cold out. If I was Ryan Deacon, I don't own a shirt. I'm never wearing a shirt. Ever.
Never wearing a shirt.
That guy's an goddess.
What in the hell are we talking about?
I told Andy Hamilton this yesterday. Derek Jeter has always been my number one. Like, if I could be anybody, it'd be Derek Jeter. Well, Jeter's getting close to 50. He's had a phenomenal run. Yesterday, talking to Andy Hamilton, I made it official. Jeter's bumped to number 2. Ryan Deacon takes over my number 1 spot.
Okay.
That's the guy I want to be.
You heard it here first. Ryan Deacon's hot.
I think Shane has a crush on Ryan Deacon.
He's a stud.
He looks like Captain America.
Let's just call it like it is.
He looks like Captain America.
Here's the deal. You know what Ryan Deacon is? I have 2 daughters, okay? I hope someday they come home to introduce me to the new boyfriend, and it's a guy like Ryan Deacon. Goes to Northwestern, super intelligent, good-looking kid, stud athlete,
Loves mat returns.
Loves mat returns. Hey, can I actually say something intellectual about mat returns?
Yes.
I watched 3 dual meets this weekend. I did watch a lot of CKLV also. Mat returns are becoming less of a thing. And when you think about it, it makes sense because there is not a huge return on them. So people have gotten better at bottom. And then as top rules have evolved, you can't grab legs. And if you're behind them for more than 5 seconds, you get called for stalling. So people are more likely to let go because they don't want to get called for early stalling. People are becoming worse at mat returns for sure, which is, it's also people are becoming better on bottom, right? It's usual thing. So Shane,
and that makes it more important, Ben, to focus on mat returns.
But does it? Because you don't get points there. I mean, there's obviously there are points in matches when mat returns are important. But Shane, you want to talk strategy? Let's talk strategy. I love it. Tell me.
Absolutely. When you go back and watch go back and watch these matches, Ben, mat returns are huge. Giving guys free points, you don't just give them a free escape. That Andy Rovat sent me a message yesterday of one of his old matches. He goes, I had to send you this clip. And it's about a 20-second clip of Rovat back in high school. Maybe he was in college. And he's taking a guy down and letting him go. Taking a guy down, letting him go. That works against guys that aren't very good. The overwhelming majority of guys, when you want to beat them, you got it. You just can't be giving free points away. Mat return, look to build riding time. Maybe it's a couple of mat returns and you get an extra 20 seconds of riding time that particular period. I'm not saying you got to sit there and do it the whole period, but don't underestimate the importance and say that they give very little return. You break guys there. You destroy a guy's will doing that to him a couple of times. Don't just give it to him. Couple returns. Man,
so I would say I would refute you here, because I would say stylistically there are matches in which it is very, very important, and when especially when guys have limited offense and they're not going to be able to get a lot of takedowns, that it is going to come down to say a 3-2 match or something to that effect. But there are guys who spend way too much effort and they get stall calls there, and then those stall calls become detrimental long term. Obviously, if they could do actually a breakdown or a ride, they wouldn't have to do a flip and mat return, because you're breaking them down or riding them.
Well,
so that is
but
probably
not
more. Hey, hold on, I
big
gave you your
booming
time.
returns.
You give me my damn time. If you can learn a breakdown or a ride or a turn, those things will provide a much larger return on investment than a mat return will. If all you're focused on is mat returns, then you're not spending enough time breaking them down, riding them, and or turning them. Okay?
Ben, nobody said it's all about focusing on mat returns. Nobody said that.
Well, I'm saying, look, if you get a turn, man, that's 4 points. That could be a match ender. You get a mat return, you get 0 points. Figure out how to freaking turn somebody.
I never debated what was more important, turning a guy for 4 or a mat return. I'm not debating that. 4-point turns, but I would say this, many times a guy gets to his feet. If you want a 4-point turn, you're going to have to bring it back down again. It's all important. My whole philosophy is just, I'm not giving free points away. I'm not doing it. I'm not just cutting a guy. And I know you can make an argument. There are certain matchups where you can do it and whatever, but you see just too much of it.
I think breakdowns are just mini mat returns.
Breakdowns
What's
that?
Breakdowns are just mini mat returns.
They are. That's exactly
There's
what it is.
just a bite-sized mat return. Just so you know.
Which actually, I would love to talk about
crap.
the Jordan Burroughs. Jordan Burroughs started tweeting. What are you so crap about?
Well, we're just never going to get off this, I'm afraid.
Well, Jordan Burroughs was tweeting about Folkstyle wrestling rules, of which I did invite him on the show because I didn't really love his takes. And I think he kind of, I don't want to say admitted to, but he said he hasn't watched a ton of Folkstyle wrestling. So not to claim he doesn't know wrestling, but obviously when you start thinking about all the different scenarios that can happen in a Folkstyle match, the more matches you watch, and freestyle is a totally different ball game. The more it can play in. So I can't see it; it's freaking blurry.
Well, let's talk about it tomorrow.
Okay,
it's
tomorrow.
It's like the larger topic, I think.
Yeah, he had a whole bunch of tweets.
Okay, so 165, we talked a little bit about Wick. I gave my opinion about Carson Karchla. Ben, I want yours and just your overall view of 165.
Okay, so overall view, Carson Karchla is very good. He's very strong, but he is very simple. There's not a lot of diversity coming out of his offense. And so, he's going to be in a lot of really tight matches. And then obviously also he's not terrible on top, but he's not great either. It's not like he's going to he's not going to be an Evan Wick on top or certain other guys. So, I think he's good. I think he's really tough, but I think he's going to have to do more things to make that jump to the next level. Obviously in freestyle, he's very much helped by the point that he's a really, really good scorer on top. And that obviously doesn't roll over to Folkstyle. So, yeah, I think, listen, at this point, Wick was really impressive this weekend. Obviously, Keegan's my guy, but, man, if you didn't watch Keegan this weekend and think, holy shit, that dude's freaking impressive, you just don't know wrestling all that well. So I look at your rankings, and I don't know how you bump Griffith over Keegan, given the fact that he has now 2 losses to different people. I think Wick should be the number 1. I didn't think Marinelli deserved that spot. So I think it should be Wick 1, Keegan 2, probably honestly Marinelli 3, and then Griffith 4. That's why I think that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now I think it's going to be Keegan versus Evan in the NCAA finals.
Will you
I
sit in
think
the
Karchla
corner?
probably paces play. I think Karchla places 4 through 6 would be my guess.
Yeah. I wonder, Karchla, on the one hand, you're right in that his offense is all basically to one side. He's coming to his opponent's right leg. He's dumping that way or he's short dragging that way. It's kind of all
goes
that
1,
way.
2, right?
Yeah,
So
I like how he does that. Like fakes the dump, and then when you hip down, he short drags
But
out
then
of that.
the problem is once you've felt it enough times or you've seen it enough times, it's just not going to work anymore, right? The first time someone goes hard 1, then hard 2, it's like, oh, wow, that was tricky. Caught me off guard. And now all of a sudden he's doing it a whole bunch and people are going to be like, well, I know after he goes 1, he's going to go 2 because there's right. It's not like I'm going to go 1. I mean, great situations are I go 1 and then I have an option 2, 3, or 4, and you don't know which option is going to come at you. And that makes it really difficult for you to defend. But when I always go 1 and then 2, and then there's not another option against the very best guy, against not the best guys, he's going to get it, right? Against the very best guys, it's going to be challenging.
Maybe he doesn't have to use 3 or 4, but yeah.
What is 3 or 4 from down there? I mean,
exactly. Who knows?
Because there isn't.
Well, I would say, very, very possibly true. But Mason Paris is still dumping dudes. It's like, okay, no more carries.
I don't want to compare heavyweight and I don't want to compare heavyweight and 165 because they're just not the same. And then obviously he's not dumping the very, very best guys. And especially if you watch, a great example of what I'm talking about would be Mason Paris versus Nick Gwiazdowski. All of us said the first time, right? They wrestled 2 times that initial weekend, and then we all said going into their world trials is like, well, Mason Paris had another 9 months to get better. Surely he's going to. But what we saw was Gwiazdowski was smart enough to scout Mason Paris. And when I say Mason Paris' offense is simple, it's not, but it's also not super tricky. And Gwiazdowski totally shut him down.
Totally. And I wonder if can anyone employ those kind of tactics with Mason at the NCAA level? Is there anyone that can go execute that? Obviously Gable can be Kirkfleet. Yeah, if you think Penn State didn't watch that match and think, okay, this is something. Now, there's the tummy time factor. And
that's the thing.
Can Kirkfleet get away from Cassiope and Mason Paris? That'll be a big question.
Yes, I agree on that fully.
So, yeah, I think Karchler's right there. I think he could use another way to score if he was a little better on top or if he had another leg attack to a different side.
Yes.
It would go a long way. I'm curious because when you have someone like Carson, this is his first time a lot of people are seeing him. What's it going to look like as there's more film, more tape, and then as we get to Big Ten dual season, how's that go?
That's something a lot of people neglect, Christian. It is like once there's more tape and more people are paying attention to you, what happens to your style? Because all of a sudden, when everyone's expecting 1 then 2, it's like it becomes highly less effective. Everyone now is going to be ready when they get in that position for what's going to happen.
That's what makes Spencer's roll through tilt all the more. His tilt
so crazy,
so hilarious.
It's so crazy.
It's like he's just been
hilarious
doing it forever.
It's like mind blowing.
Yeah, it's just like it's this turn that like
he just has to be so strong. It's got to be the deal.
He does some. So I watched his technique videos and how he does it, and I've been paying attention because I coached high school. I showed tilts and roll through tilts, and his point about how he gets the wrist and he runs his feet like a gut wrench and like creates a lot of pressure and then rolls
a little more forward.
And then I was watching the Virginia. I think it was one of the Missouri guys was trying to roll through tilt, and he was just like,
this was
who was
Art
it?
Or it was Certain at the end of the second on
Teskey.
Because Certain tied it up, and then he had that cross wrist tilt. Yeah, and he couldn't.
And he just flipped his hips up. All he did was flip his hips up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like seeing it in real time. Like that's why this guy's not going over, and that's why Spencer. That's one of the reasons Spencer turns everyone. But
has to be also just incredibly powerful though, because of
clearly
specifically
powerful.
Like this motion, right? This hand's on the belly, this hand's on the arm, and how he's crunching here, like this motion, to be ridiculously strong because he just does things to people where you're like, they know it's coming and there's just nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And he does, and in all fairness though, his power makes a difference. And top is obviously one place where you can implement certain things without really being totally tricky, right? Because you're forcing something.
Mm-hmm.
But he also does have kind of like a 4 or 5-part series there where he can do a whole bunch of different things on top, which again, a lot of it is a power factor, but also he can do some different things.
Yeah, it's like roll through or reinforce and then run in the bar. It like kind of all works together.
Yeah.
Whereas like someone like Zayn just like ripped your leg off and took you over. Like that was like super powerful. Whereas like the thing is with tilts, you think of them as like a tricky sort of slick kind of maneuver, but really the differentiator for Spencer seems to be.
I think that's for most people is their I mean, especially so I coach kids. If kids don't have good grip strength, they just can't do tilts, right?
Yep.
So they have to have the good grip strength, and then they have to be able to write this like this crunching motion where they're pinching into the thighs. Like if they're not powerful enough there, they're just not going to be a good tilter.
Yes. So we went from Carson Karchler to Spencer Lee. We went from Patrick Glory to Spencer Lee. How can we do it with Labriola and Ethan Smith? Let's try. Let's give it a shot. I think Labriola looked good. I think Smith looked good. No, I felt kind of similar. I thought everyone looked fine. Smith is good at 74.
I was disappointed Foca lost early, and then he came back and took third.
All the way back for third. Impressive. I mean, Adam Kemp for Cal Poly is an interesting guy. He just, you can tell he's like freaky strong and he's holds really good position. He's going to be fun to watch for a while. What?
The GOAT just won.
The GOAT who?
Mushkaev.
Who did he beat?
Frizaliev.
Okay, Frizaliev. I don't know who that is.
Oh, you guys are watching that Russian thing? Listen, let me end the show on this. Rocky and Drago aren't supposed to be flipping friends. This is crap.
Yeah, well, go off, King.
Yeah, listen, Kyle, I love you. You know what, Snyder? Sedgelive is also pretty likable. I don't want to see you guys being friends. I don't want to see it. I want Cold War.
You want Iowa State.
Hate each other. Yes, I want heat. I want so much heat. I mean, listen, it's nice. Listen, finish your careers. Let's go 2024. I don't know if you want to go a few years longer, whatever. Then you can be buddies. It's over. I got it. Until then, I don't want to see it. I want you guys to hate each other. I know I might not get what I want, but that's what I want.
Maybe not hate, but yeah, it would like chilling in a limo. I don't know.
Sedgelive welcomed him at the airport. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Sedgelive for his greatness and his Russianness is pretty hard to dislike.
Can't beat him, join him.
Yeah.
Someone said his Snyder transferring to Russia or else have to wait.
Man,
the Russians have really rolled out the red carpet for. Also, they're doing Squid Game intros at Wolnick.
I didn't watch Squid Game. Someone described it to me and it sounded so sad to me. I just didn't.
Yeah, I loved it.
You're a twisted freak. Look at these buddies. Let me tell you about my best friend.
Are you guys watching this right now on Twitter?
Arm in arm. No, I'm not watching. I'm actually trying to do the show.
Okay, well, so I just clicked this link. Kyle Dake posted a link, and it's this event that Kyle Snyder and Jason Nolf are in Russia. It's called Warlink.
I don't think Snyder's wrestling, though, right?
He's not. Zabralev pulled out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw that.
Jason Nolf still wrestles Sabalov, though.
All right. We'll check that out. Romero, I think, was one of the bigger stories. If I'm allowed to talk about
good
wrestling.
Transition.
I'm trying.
We're talking about wrestling.
Yeah, I know.
At a higher level.
Higher level. I don't know. Caleb Romero is pretty high level this week.
Romero looked good.
He's going to be fine up at 84, clearly. He's an All-American threat. I don't think he can enter the top 4 conversation. Maybe he could, but probably not. But
probably not. Help me out. Where was Truex?
He, okay, I was told he might have been out for the reason I think a lot of people are out, but I'm not sure.
Okay, got it. Well, I picked him to win, and he didn't show up. I was really disappointed.
He didn't. That was disappointing. Stephen Buchanan, great performance. We already talked a little bit about that. He beats Brucky and Schultz. He's super good. He's not a fun guy to wrestle.
How about Woodley losing to Pinola? Were you surprised by that?
Stunned. Yeah, I'm very surprised by that. I wasn't surprised that Schultz won, and when Schultz made the finals, I was like, man, this is not. And I sort of alluded to it, and then I sort of chickened out on my prediction.
Schultz over Woodley's not a shock.
Not at all. But this guy was the 2 seed at NCAAs. But yeah, him losing to Pinola, I don't know. And we talked about with Woodley, this guy's wrestled an insane schedule already this year. Maybe he was just due to drop one, and then
Yeah.
he dropped another.
Because Panola went on a heater. He lost to the Northern Colorado kid. Then he beats Stemet, Cardenas, and Louis Dupre, and then Woodley.
Yeah, to me, that just means Panola's the story here.
Panola, that's pretty good.
That's a really, really strong run. And I don't know what's up with the GOAT Ben Darmstadt, but we didn't see him here.
Where is he?
They got to get him in the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, Cardenas isn't bad, but he's no GOAT.
He's no GOAT. He's not a GOAT. And then Gas Tank Gary. Oh, I should have worn my shirt. I have a shirt. I'm going to wear it tomorrow.
Hey, how silly do you feel if you're Ohio State and you got rid of Gas Tank Gary and he outplaces your dude?
The grass ain't always greener. We said at the moment that when we heard Orndorff was going there,
we
it's
didn't like it.
Never liked it. Still don't like it. And it's not about Orndorff. It's just about you got this guy. He's a cult hero in Columbus, and you say no. I never liked it. I would have stuck with the GOAT. And great win there. I mean, he is kind of a heart attack wrestler. He went quarter semifinal, late, or not his final, but his quarter and semis were super, super close. But the guy wins. And,
that move has still worked out better for Ohio State.
Why has it?
Orndorff All-American last year.
Well, I mean,
now
Traub
it's year
wasn't in the
two.
lineup.
Traub wasn't in the lineup. You cast him aside. Who knows what he would have done? He probably would have beat Gable.
He might have
You
won
don't
it.
know. He might have won it.
He might have won.
I don't know why Shane's laughing. But no, shout out to Gary. All things, it's cool to see. It's good for Oregon State, who had I thought a solid
They played the
showing.
tournament.
They did. Okay, it's 9:47.
Overtime, baby.
Ben charges us 2 minutes. We have to pay him extra when he goes 2 over.
Bitcoin per minute.
Bitcoin per minute. Hey, thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks to Shane. Thanks to all you guys for tuning in. Great weekend of wrestling. Appreciate you guys watching so much. You guys are fired up about college wrestling. I know that much. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about Jordan Burroughs' rules changes. Maybe he'll come on and want to fight Ben Askren again. I don't know.
That'd be good.
Trying to make you guys friends.
We are friends now.
Okay, good.
Listen, I talk a lot of trash to my friends too. I saw a bunch of them last weekend. I was, sometimes you gotta give your friends a hard time.
All right, good. I need this to be a strong relationship. We will be back tomorrow. We hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Thanks a lot. See you next time. Bye.